One of the best tools to help you manage and keep track of all upcoming meetings and important events happening at your school site is the calendar app inside Outlook on your desktop. To access Calendar, once you have loaded Outlook on your desktop, simply click the calendar icon here at the bottom bar in the far left navigation. Calendar should load in a month view. However, you can change the view by coming up to the toolbar, and you can select a daily view, a view of the work week, Monday to Friday, a view of the entire week, including the weekend, or even a schedule view. I'm going to put it back to month view. This is what I commonly use to help keep myself organized. Let's start off by adding a new item to this calendar on today's date. So notice I've selected today's date, and I could just simply double click on the date. Let's just close this. Or once I've selected the day, I can come up here and in the Home tab, I could choose between new appointment or creating a new meeting. I would select new appointment if I was simply adding an event to my calendar that really only will affect my calendar. However, if I was planning a meeting with a group of people at a specific location, I would then go ahead and click new meeting in order to take advantage of some of the extra features, including the ability to find a room that would work for us, as well as see individual schedules and suggested times that would work for all of us to meet. These features are not visible, as we can see, if we go to new appointment. However, one thing I will point out is that if you do create a new appointment, you can always invite attendees. And when you invite attendees, this essentially changes that from an appointment to a meeting, and you get those other features. So let's go ahead and add an event. Just close that. Let's go ahead and add an event to today. So again, I can either double click on the date or select between new appointment or new meeting. I'm going to go ahead and double click on the day, and notice that when I do, it comes up as a new appointment. Let's give this event a title, and we can choose to set a location. Now, notice for start time and end time, we have some flexibility. Currently, this is set as an all-day event, so this little checkbox is checked. I'm going to uncheck it so that I can specify a time for this event, Microsoft Camp Meetup. Let's say 2 o'clock to 3:30 today. Now, I could save this as an event, and this will only be on my calendar. I'll show you what that looks like. So we'll click Save and Close. And there it is on today's day of my calendar. But let's go back to that event. Let's edit this to turn this into a meeting. I want to invite a few people to attend my Microsoft Camp Meetup. So I'm going to click on Invite Attendees. And notice that I have a few new features in this window, including a to bar where I'm going to type in the names of the individuals I want to invite to my meetup. So I'm going to start typing the individuals' names, and they should appear in the global directory. And so I should be able to just find them in my list and click on them. All right, so I've got 2 individuals. Now, I'm going to take a quick look over here. I have Room Finder open. If it wasn't open, let's just close it for a minute If Room Finder was not open, I could always just click on Room Finder here in the toolbar. And I'm not so concerned about a room because we are going to meet at a Starbucks where we can all easily get to. However, I am concerned about the time. Will this time work for everyone I'm inviting? Well, thanks to a feature called Suggested Times, I can see that the 2 o'clock to 3:30 meeting time that I currently have set actually works for all three of us. So in other words, Outlook is actually checking Danny's calendar and Sean's calendar, and it notices that there are no conflicts. There are also no conflicts if I wanted to set the meeting from 3:30 to 5 p.m. However, notice these other times suggested down here show that one individual has a conflict and wouldn't be able to meet. So I really only have 2 times that I can choose from. So I'm going to leave this set at 2 to 3:30. I could always just select that second time slot, and that would adjust my times for my start time and my end time. A couple more things I could do here is I could categorize this particular meeting. This essentially color codes it on my calendar, making it easier for me to identify what the event or meeting is about. So since this is a Microsoft Camp meetup, I'm going to find my category for Microsoft. There it is. And now this event should be purple when I look at it in my calendar. I'm also going to identify its importance. You don't have to, but let's say that this is an important meeting. I could add high importance, or I could set it to low importance. Let's just add it to high importance. And I also have the option of making this a reoccurring scheduled item by clicking Recurrence. This allows me to set up the appointment as something that would occur daily or weekly or monthly or even yearly. Let's just cancel that because it's a one-time meeting. And I can click on Insert tab and notice that I can attach some files to this particular calendar invite in case I have an agenda for the meeting. I can always enter information just by typing in the space below. Now, one of the things that you might notice is different between a meeting, scheduling a meeting, and scheduling an appointment is that when I was scheduling the appointment, I had a save button. Instead, because I'm scheduling a meeting, I now have a send button. And that's because not only is this going to appear on my calendar, but it's also going to appear on Danny and Sean's calendars if they accept the invitation. Now, I'm actually going to remove them, so I'm going to cancel the invitation because I don't want to send a notice out to them. And I'm going to just save and close. And so now I see this on my calendar. If I had sent it to Danny and Sean, they would receive an email suggesting the appointment or suggesting the meeting, and they would choose whether they want to accept, reply as maybe, or decline the meeting invitation. Now, I could also schedule an appointment and make it private. So, for example, let's say that I had to add a doctor's appointment here on the 17th. But I currently share my calendar with my entire team. So that means they can actually see all of the events and meetings that I have posted on my calendar. I don't want them to know that I'm going to the doctor. So I'm going to click private and save and close. Now, yes, it appears as doctor's appointment on my calendar. However, if one of my other teammates views my shared calendar, instead of seeing doctor appointment, they're going to see private appointment. Now, I was in such a hurry to create that private doctor's appointment that I didn't actually categorize it. So I'm just going to single click on it. And notice in the toolbar up at the top, I'm inside the tab Calendar Tools. I can select from categories here under the tab Categorize, or I could simply right click on the appointment and select Categorize, and I'm going to select the category Personal Appointments. Again, you do not have to categorize events if you don't want to. I like creating categories because it helps me distinguish what an event is going to be about or why I have a certain booking in my calendar. Now, I mentioned earlier about sharing calendars. So I'm just going to come up to the very top of Outlook in the desktop app, and I'm going to click on the Home tab. All right, let's say that I wish to share my calendar with one of my team members. I would simply click on Share Calendar in the toolbar, and I would select the calendar I want to share. And I can see currently who I'm sharing the calendar with, and I could go ahead and add an individual, and I can search them by name. So let's search for Sean Lacusta, and I would click on his name and click Add. Okay. And I would select how I want to share my calendar. Do I want it so that Sean can only view that I'm busy on days that I have bookings? Do I want him to be able to see the titles and locations of my appointments and meetings? Do I want him to be able to view all details? Do I want to give him edit privileges? I would select this and finally click OK or Apply. I'm just going to select Sean right now and select Remove because I don't want to actually share my calendar with him. And click OK. So I mentioned as well that I share my calendar and my team members share their calendars with me. One of the things that I like about the desktop version of Outlook is that when I open one of these calendars, such as John Carras's calendar, instead of John's calendar being layered over top of mine, like it is in the calendar app of Outlook on the web, I actually instead see a side-by-side view. So I see my calendar here on the left, and I see John's calendar here on the right. I can also open multiple calendars. So let's also open Dane's. And this gives me a side-by-side view of a few of my team members' calendars. Now, here in Calendar, in the desktop version of Outlook, you also have access to group calendars, such as your school staff room calendar. Now, in this case, it actually overlapped my current calendar. So we're just going to click that arrow. I'll just show you what I did here. I just clicked this arrow here in the tab to send it to a side-by-side view. Now, if I want to add an event to the staff room calendar, I could simply click on the day and fill in the details about my event. I would not have to invite attendees because this event will be shared with everyone who's part of that staff room group or team. And once I have finished adding the details, I could then click Save and Close, and everyone on the team would be able to see that particular event. Now, to remove an event, I just simply right-click on it and select Delete. Now, let's close the staff room calendar. So I'm going to come up here to the tab and click the X, and that will expand my personal calendar. And I want to wrap up by showing you one more feature, one more thing that you can do in Calendar in Outlook on the desktop app that you can't yet do from Outlook on the web. And that is you can create a new Teams meeting. I've selected today, and I just simply come up to the Home tab, and in the Home tab toolbar, I click on New Teams Meeting. And again, I can add the individuals who I want to meet with and add a subject. And we're going to make this an event that starts at 2:30 p.m. Oops, p.m., not a.m., and goes until 4 o'clock on today's date. There we go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and click send. Actually, first I'm going to add a message and click send. All right, that gets added to my calendar here, and the guys that I invited would have received an invite to join this meeting. But if I open up Teams and I click on meetings in the far left navigation, I can see in today's schedule that team meeting that I created. I could start a chat with the participants of the Teams meeting, or I could click join and choose my audio and video settings and then choose to join now. Let's just close this. And let's go back to my calendar. Now that you've viewed this tutorial, hopefully you are feeling more comfortable and confident in using the different tools and features of Calendar in Outlook on the desktop in order to keep track of appointments and meetings and record those important events that are going to occur in your school throughout the school year.